Hey guys, I'm ANT Designs and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Something that myself and a lot of other cosplayers in the cosplay community have been missing a lot of this year, I think, not only are the cons and our friends and everything like that, but a lot of cosplayers really enjoy cosplay competitions, and that's also something that we're missing out on this year because of all the event cancellations. So I've decided to issue a tag for fellow cosplayers who enjoy cosplay competitions. The 20 cosplay competition questions. I have come up with 20 questions that coincide and are related to cosplay competitions that others can answer and have a little bit of fun and kind of reminisce on times where we were actually able to participate in conventions and cosplay competitions. All of these questions will be in the description down below so that you can also try it for yourself. I will also be tagging 3 cosplayers who have YouTube channels at the end of this. So without further ado, let's get into the questions that I have created. Question number 1. What was your first cosplay competition? What convention and what year? My first cosplay competition was at Ottawa Comic Con 2014. I was only 16 years old at this point, really nervous, and it was one of the cons that I went to regularly every year, and it felt the most, I guess, accessible to me. And I'm really glad I did it because it started my addiction to cosplay competitions. Question number 2. What is your current level or division? In Canada, we have Novice, Journeyman, Artisan, and Master, and both regionally and internationally, and I am at the International Master Division somehow. I got there pretty quickly. Oops. What was your first costume that you entered? My first costume that I entered over at Ottawa Comic Con was my 3 a.m. Jade Harley from Homestuck. Because yes, my Homestuck phase kind of overlapped a little bit with the start of my masquerades. But it looked pretty cute. Here's a photo of it here. I felt adorable and I was really proud of myself for getting on that stage considering how much anxiety I had at that time. Question number 4. What was your first award? My first award, I was pretty excited about it, was a judge's pick from Yaya Han and Johnny Junkers at Pop Expo 2014. Sorry, I hadn't won any awards yet at that point. It was my 3rd masquerade and Yaya Han picked me as one of her favorites in the masquerade. That meant a lot to me. I am not particularly fond of the Princess Daisy cosplay I was wearing nowadays, but at the time I was pretty proud of it. I was pretty content that her and Johnny Junkers liked it that much. What has been my favorite or most memorable award? I think my favorite award title has honestly been the Wispy Jig Award at Ottawa Comic Con 2016? 2017? A few years ago now. But I was dressed in Nymerida cosplay and I got one of my best friends from high school on stage with me, and she was Highland dancing because where I'm from, you're friends with at least one Highland dancer, if not more. We did a whole bit about how that's one thing Merida can't do, and she's a very good Highland dancer, so everyone in that audience was in for a treat getting to actually see her dance for a little under a minute. But just the fact that not only was that my award that got me into the Masters division, but it was also the fact that she came to the con to do that with me was really special to me. That and that title for the award is absolutely hilarious. Wispy Jig was so clever because it involved the wisps and we had a Highland dancer on stage. It was pretty great. What has been my favorite presentation or performance? This is hard because I really enjoy doing performances and planning them out and such like that. It's like I want to cover a little bit more on my YouTube channel, but what is my favorite? Probably my group entry with my friends at my most recent masquerade at Otakuthon 2019. That took a lot of work, a lot of coordination, and it was so much fun to do with these people. I got to collaborate with all of them together, and we were all dressed as characters from a series that we all equally love and like to nerd out about together, so that made it for a really special one. So I think that entry was probably one of my favorite performances, just because it took a lot of collaboration. There was a lot of versions of the performance before we actually got to do it. And yeah, it was really fun to put together with all these people with all these different ideas floating around, and then eventually we ended up with this really cool final product. By the way, all my performances can be found on my YouTube channel, so go check out my masquerades playlist. Question number 7, what has been your favorite costume that you've entered with? This one's hard because a lot of my favorite costumes are ones that I end up entering in masquerades. But probably my Tomoyo Hime, again from the Tsubasa group at Otakuthon 2019. I'm really proud of this costume, and also my workmanship is so clean. I know I've mentioned this a few times in questionnaires when they ask about my favorite costume or my favorite workmanship. My workmanship is very clean on that. My hems are like really good. Everything is just clean, nice. Question number 8. How long were you a cosplayer before you started to decide to try competing? I believe I was cosplaying for about 4 years. Yes, it'd be 4 years because I started cosplaying in 2010 and my first masquerade was in 2014. It did not take me long into my cosplay career to start doing masquerades. Question number 9. What has been your biggest win so far? At this point, I've won several Best in Class awards, but I'm also going to put in perspective the size of the competition and just the level of the competition. So I think that entry with my friends, the Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles group, is probably our biggest win, as we got Best in Class presentation at Otakathon in the Masters division. Otakathon is a huge masquerade where people bring their absolute A game, and we got a Best in Class title. That's pretty great. I was super proud of us for that one. Question number 10. If events weren't canceled, how many masquerades or competitions were you planning on entering this year? Well, one I was supposed to enter in January, but it just didn't happen. But that wasn't because of the virus or the lockdowns. That was just because of things not working out. But I'm gonna count that because it is a 2020 competition. So I was supposed to enter G-Anime 2020, Costume Con 2020, which would have been literally the weekend that everything shut down. I was looking forward to it so much. It just, darn. And I was gonna be entering Otakathon 2020 with another group. So I think those are the only 3 I was planning on entering. Question number 11. How many competitions have you entered? I actually had to go do some self-research on this one and look back at some memories and on my website to figure this out. I've entered 18 competitions so far. I have not won at every single one, of course. That's not usually how these things work, but I've entered 18 by now. Question number 12. Your dream competition to enter. So this could be a few different ones. One of my big goals is to enter the Canadian World Cosplay Summit preliminaries again. I really enjoyed my first time doing it, and it's something I am aiming towards in the future, but I also really want to try out some American competitions as well. I do have passports, so I can go down to the States and try these convention masquerades once they start happening again. I want to try bigger competitions. I want to try competing against new people, because a lot of times when you're in the same area, you're competing against the same people every time. I really want to try competing and learning from new people, because I think that'd be a really cool experience. Question number 13. Have you ever won anything with a cash prize? I put this question in here mostly because I realize in Canada that is pretty rare, but in places like the States, apparently it's a little bit more common. But to answer the question, yes, I have. In one of the rare instances where there was a cash prize, I did actually win it. I have a whole story time about this thing in my YouTube channel about the scholarship competition. I'll put some links in the description down below. But it was a scholarship competition where they chose 3 finalists. Out of those 3, one would win $1,000 to go towards their tuition. And somehow I ended up winning it. Yes, I have a whole story time about that whole day, about the whole scholarship situation, so go check that out because it's kind of a fun one. Question number 14. Have you ever done any group entries? Well, I've mentioned it a few times already, but some of my favorite entries have been my group entries. So my Tsubasa Reservoirs Chronicles group, which was really special, my group with the Mystic Fae sisters as the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword characters, just name some of them. I've done a few team-ups with just 1 or 2 people every once in a while as well. And of course, I've also grabbed some friends to help me as personal ninjas, like my friend Angela, who did the Highland dancing for me, or the time when I got Symphony and Silk and Arctic Werewolf cosplay on stage with me just wearing cardboard masks of Ganondorf and Link. Also on my YouTube channel, my masquerades list. Question number 15. What has been your favorite competition memory? There could be a lot for mine. There could be the times I met some of my closest friends. There could be the times where, I won something that made me really emotional. I think my favorite memory would have to be the very last entry of Ottawa Comic Con 2019 was my friend Tiny Leviathan cosplay in her Symmetra cosplay right here. She did an incredible performance and she was super nervous. So Symphony and Silk cosplay was at the end of the stage, so the second that she got off stage, she could just kind of collapse into a friend's arms, which was adorable. But every time someone would come off stage at that point, we were having such a good time, everyone backstage. People would come off stage and we'd go over like, yeah, you did it, like pump them up a bit. When she came off, especially because she's the last entry in her performance, we were screaming, it was so good. We all went and had a big group hug. Like everyone. The serotonin levels were crazy. The vibes were good. Question number 16. What has been your most surprising win? There have been many times where I didn't expect the awards I've gotten, but I've got to say, I think it was Anime North 2017. My Cardcaptor Soccer, I was in the International Artisan Division, and backstage I felt super underdressed. Let's just put it that way. I was like, oh man, there's no way I'm winning against all these people. Everyone looks so good. So they're going through the Artisan Awards. I think they announced 3, and then they're on to your two best in class awards. They mentioned that they split them into best in class as an individual and best in class as a group. And I was sitting there like, oh, I didn't win anything. Oh, okay. Like, I was, you know, pretty bummed. I was like, okay, I'm not winning anything. So I'd already kind of like accepted. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not winning a best in class here at Anime North in the artisan division. No way that's happening. So I just kind of like already accepted that when they announced this award. I was like, okay, not winning. That's fine. And then as an individual, they announced my entry number. And then I let out the biggest, what? To the point everyone was laughing at me. I was not expecting that award, but now I'm very proud of it. Question number 17. Have you ever gotten to judge a competition? I have. I judged Forest City Comic Con's cosplay competition in 2018, and that one was kind of fun because it was my first judging experience, and one of my teachers from fashion design were also a judge, so that made it a really interesting situation. I've also judged at Animaritime 2019, which was extremely fun, and I got to learn a lot of things and meet a lot of really cool people through that. I just really enjoy being part of masquerades, and sometimes you can't compete at all of them, so judging is another way to contribute and still be part of it. Question 18. What do you miss the most about cosplay competitions due to everything being shut down and canceled? I think what I miss most is, first off, the motivation of having a deadline for finishing costumes, but I think the thing that I miss the most is the camaraderie and the friends and just the backstage experience and a little bit of the adrenaline rush when you're at the award ceremony, not knowing if you're gonna get anything, seeing your friends win something. That's really, really rewarding. Even if you don't get anything, seeing your friends being happy about winning things fills me with so much happiness. Question 19. Do you have any embarrassing moments that happened during a cosplay competition? I almost had one, and it could have been really bad. World Cosplay Summit Preliminaries 2018. Myself and Symphony and Silk were the first ones out of the gate, first entries on the stage, and I felt something weird happen in the back of my costume. I was so warm out of nerves and the fact that I was in layered costumes for a transforming bit, and I was breathing so hard that this fitted strapless bodice that I had made myself for the bottom dress photo here, I bent the hook and eye at the top of the zipper. So they're usually like a little hook like that. Because of me breathing and the heat, and I guess it wasn't a very good hook and eye, it kind of just straightened out. So that last little hook that keeps it closed, that last little like maybe quarter of an inch difference makes a big difference, and it started to slip. So I almost had a really bad costume malfunction on stage. I did have to do a little pull and fix up, and the judges did tell me afterwards that maybe I should have, just for safety purposes, put a clear strap, even though I wanted to avoid that as much as possible since the character didn't have one. It could have been really bad, but luckily it was not, just because I managed to fit a little in the choreography. Thank gosh. Question number 20 and the final question. Do you have any favorite photos from a competition stage? There's a few from the World Cosplay Summit preliminary stage with Symphony and Silk that I really enjoyed just because her expressions were so good, and mine were like, our expressions were all over the place. I was happy, I was like, I was like really stressed, and like there was a lot of expressions that were caught really well on camera. But I think the group with Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles group photos are some of my favorites. Photos over here with the credits. But they just make me really, really happy to see, because again, it's one of the performances I'm the most proud of, and the memories associated with that competition entry and all the rehearsals and working with these friends was really, really something and really special. And to finish off this video, I'm going to tag 3 more cosplayers to try this out, and I'm picking 3 cosplayers who are on YouTube. So I'm going to tag Kirli Cosplay, Dark Carnival Butler, and Cassie Renee Cosplay. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, and you don't even have to tag people if you don't want to. I just want to see if you guys are interested in doing it, because this is actually really fun, and since we can't have competitions right now, it's kind of fun to look back on old ones. So if you've liked this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!